Hi, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins.
And welcome to Our City Tonight.
Well, we're here in Richmond. We did the little travel out here to an amazing place called CHEK Steakhouse Bar.
That's right. We're going to check out some great cocktails and some great food at this wonderful place. I'm going to step out of frame right now because the first segment's coming up and I'm not being in it. So.
Well, as you can see, I have replaced Jim with someone much more important. I have Brandon, who is the National Beverage Coordinator here at CHEK. In fact, all the CHEK locations all the way across Canada, 16 locations to be exact.
That's right.
You're a busy guy.
I definitely am. Yeah, it's the best job in the world.
I bet. And I have the best job in the world right now because I get to try these cocktails as soon as you've told us a little bit more about them. Tell us about this guy here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the smoked old fashioned. It's been kind of a classic on our menu for a few years now. We use smoked Canadian cedar. We also add some rye whiskey in there. We've got a house-made brown sugar simple syrup, some Angostura bitters, as well as orange bitters too. And then we finish that off with an orange peel, and then we re-smoke this at the end. So when it comes out, it gets this nice, beautiful puff of smoke.
It smells amazing. And now that's been on the menu for a while, so this is tried and true. This one is your brand new baby, so I can't wait to hear about this one.
It is, yeah. So this is the Cherry Blossom Mojito. So this is taking a lot of Asian ingredients and bringing it into a more classic cocktail. We've got some rum in there. We're using maraschino liqueur. We have a yuzu juice as well as simple syrup. And then we've also got a butterfly pea blossom tea that we brew here. And then that's what gives it that beautiful color. And of course, mint as well too.
Oh, delicious. And now these are your poolside sippers. I'm guessing that this, the brown one, is going to be drank further on in the day, you know, not
Definitely.
First thing in the morning. I could see this being a morning cocktail.
Definitely. I mean, you can drink them any time of the day, but that's definitely a meal ender, and that's definitely a meal starter, I think.
Wonderful. Well, awesome. Thanks for sharing these with us. We are going to leave the cocktails and go check out some food a little bit later on in the show. Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Lita.
Well, we're here at Mahoney Tavern. We've kind of moved the cameras around from the set that we always use with the backdrop of the city behind us. We've got the lovely bar behind us, and I've got the lovely, talented Camille Mitchell with us, who was on our show a couple years ago on the red carpet at the Leo Awards. We said we have to get you back to talk about your wonderful career, but also I've been a big fan of your father's since I was a kid. So it's great to have you here, Camille, at Our City Tonight. Thanks to Leslie Diana for arranging this. Hey, let's talk a bit, before we get to your dad's wonderful career, let's talk about your wonderful career. You are one of those actresses who I always say this is the poster for what actors should do, because you do stage, TV, film, everything. I can't count the amount of awards and nominations you've had over the years. Talk a bit about your career and what you look for as an actor.
Oh boy. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. And I was very lucky. I started in theater, and it was a time too where theater actually had a large public,
right,
and
yeah.
we were flown around. We got to work with directors from New York, from London, as well as Toronto and Vancouver, and it was a wonderful place to start one's career. It was back in the 70s, and I consider myself really blessed because I got to work with some wonderful people and I learned so much. And then when my son was born in the 90s, I thought enough of this itinerant lifestyle with one day off a week to do your laundry and get your groceries done. And I settled down into TV and film. And I've had some wonderful experiences. It's been a fun ride.
You really have. You've had long-term runs in television. I'm thinking of course, we were on the set a year and a half ago of Van Helsing. You spent a fair amount of time on that show. You're doing a lot of work with movies shot up here for television, for film. What was it that attracted you? Obviously your father, which we're going to get into, but as a young girl, was it just because of what your dad was doing? Because I always like to ask actors, what was it that you saw that made you think, I want to do that?
I didn't want to do it.
Oh, really? Did your dad say, please do not get into this field?
No, well, both my parents were actors. My mother was an actor in Europe. She studied with Max Reinhardt before the war.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And she actually was starring as Titania in Midsummer Night's Dream. Just before Hitler invaded Austria, she got out, her family got out, but just barely. She came to New York to lose her accent, and she went to drama school. It was before World War II, and met a young working actor, I think the only working actor at this particular school.
Right.
And he was a spirit carrier for Alfred Lynn Fontanne.
Big Broadway names, yeah.
And they fell in love, and they were always I had 3 older brothers, they were always expecting us to perform, to do skits, to write things, and it was sort of part of our family tradition. And if anyone had a birthday, if there was any gathering at all, we would write skits, we would direct each other, we would perform. And so by the time I went to university, I was going to be a doctor, I was going to study medicine, I was going to save the world, and then I realized my aptitude for sciences was just abysmal. And I had to take what they called a Mickey Mouse course, which someone suggested acting.
Right. Hey, one of the things that Lita and I were excited to do in talking to you is that I've interviewed a lot of people over the years, and famous parents and the child follows in the footsteps. It's not always a guarantee that there's going to be a great relationship between child and parent. I've interviewed people before that have said, I really don't want to talk about my parent, I'm sorry. You are the absolute opposite in that. And you kind of sat down and said, Jim, I'll do I want to tell our viewers, you sat down and said, I do the whole interview about my dad. Camille Mitchell, who you can probably tell I'm a big fan of, a guy whose career lasted as long as yours has, in terms of, he started in the late 30s, theater, early television. When I say early, not 1950s, I'm talking late 30s, was in some great movies, television, had his own show. But you came to mind the other day because Lita and I said we're due to interview you, but I twice this past weekend watched your dad in 2 great movies on Turner Classic Movie. There he is with Clark Gable and Jane Russell in the Tall Men, but also working with Van Johnson. He worked with, it was in Marilyn Monroe, introduced Marilyn Monroe to Arthur Miller.
Yes, he did.
So tell us about your wonderful dad, who was taken far too soon, but what a great talent he was.
Thank you. Well, he was a born actor. He was the son of a Dutch Reformed Lutheran minister, Amish stock.
Well, that has acting written on the gateway right into the acting business.
And came from a really poor family, 9 kids.
Wow.
And was viewed by his high school drama teacher in Dallastown, Pennsylvania, as a very talented young man. And she gave him $50 to go to New York. That's
Wow.
all the money she had saved up. And he told me that when he actually got on the bus to leave to go to New York, it was a lifetime away. He didn't know when he'd be able to get home. He didn't know when he'd see his parents again.
Right.
He worked as a busboy and as an usher and just did everything he could in New York for 2 years. He said he had a room over, his window opened over an elevator shaft.
That's a nice view. A little different from the views we have here at Mahoney.
And, actors in those days, of course, no one could afford a telephone. You literally sat in your agent's office all day and waited, and they'd either come out and say, Cameron, go down to 42nd Street, they've got an audition for you, or sorry guys, nothing today. But that was their lives.
Sure. What an amazing career. I also want to mention Love Me or Leave Me with James Cagney, another legendary craftsman, and Doris Day, who I always thought was very good and didn't get the credit she deserved as an actress. But just tons of stuff. High Chaparral was a big show he was in. We've got some magazines up here. We're showing photos and everything of Cameron. Hey, I wish we had more time, but it's such a pleasure today to talk about you and your great career. And it's warming to our hearts. I can see Lita smiling off camera. To hear you talk glowingly about your father, who I would highly recommend people look for. He was a great actor.
He was.
Who deserves to be seen more in so many movies. Just IMDb him and you'll see some great stuff. Camille Mitchell, thank you and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Happy summer.
Thank you.
We're back here in Richmond at CHOP Restaurant Bar, and I am now joined by Executive Chef Stephen. Stephen, look at this brilliant food in front of us. But CHOP has something very unique here. You guys are completely sustainability accredited. Tell us a little bit about that so the audience knows.
So about 5 years ago, we started our journey with the Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. And we did that when we added a sustainable burger to CHOP's menu. So that was a pretty exciting occasion. And now I'm proud to say, as of June, our entire steak program also now has a certified sustainable claim attached to it.
Okay, so explain a little bit what that means. I mean, I know that you're dealing with people that care for their animals, you care for the community, you care for the land. So describe that a little bit more detail.
Absolutely, and that's what sustainability is all about to me. It's putting a spotlight on the farmers that are looking after their animals, like you said, in the land, and making sure that their farm is going to be around for generations to come. You know, their kids and grandkids, and also, you know, for our guests and their kids and their kids.
No, that's a great program, and you have 16 locations all across Canada. What a nice full restaurant chain to be able to say that you're, you know, keeping up with sustainability for sure. Now let's get right into the steaks that are actually on the table and some of the uniqueness to CHOP.
So once the farmers have put all the love and care and attention into their animals, and we get our steaks into the kitchen, there's a few steps that happen from there. So first step is each steak gets our custom Old Chicago steak spice, and that combined with our beautiful Montague grill is what creates this amazing crust on the top of each steak. So the whole process is actually really fast because it's super hot. So all these steaks took about 4 minutes to cook, and then of course they rest for a minute or two to allow the juices to kind of calm down, and then they get brushed with some beautiful garlic butter, and then a sprinkle of our finishing salt for that just kind of crunchy pop of salt.
Beautiful. So what kind of steaks do we have in front of us?
Yeah, so this one is super cool and pretty unique to CHOP. We do a cold smoked ribeye. And so it eats exactly like a regular ribeye that you're probably used to eating, you know, beautiful, bright pink, medium rare. But it has this haunting kind of smoky aftertaste that is just to die for. And then of course we've got a beautiful filet mignon and a center cut New York in front here. So there you go, something for everyone.
Well, we're taking a little break from the food, but the cocktails are close by. If you've been watching the show over the last month or so, you may have noticed that we were celebrating a milestone in TV. It was 100 episodes. We're into our 101st episode. We've been, over the course of the summer, showing some highlights of some of the last 6 years. Lita, we've got a couple right now. Before we get back to the food, you've got one from about 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago we got to go on the set and kind of behind the set at Van Helsing, which actually just wrapped up its last season.
Yes.
Great show.
Yeah, a successful run, a very popular show around the world. Thanks to John Walker, the executive story editor and friend of ours, for getting us on the set behind the scenes. I got to point out a couple of moments here. I always love when you can interview like the biggest stars on the planet, but if you interview people that were big when you were a kid or a teenager, it kind of resonates a little bit more. And we had the opportunity a couple of times to talk to some of the big music icons of the 80s, Gord Depp of the Spoons. That was a real thrill for me to get to talk to you, because I was and remain a big fan of the Spoons. They were just a group of kids from Burlington that came together. And you and I also talked to one of the members of Honeymoon Suite. I got a new girl now and Wave Babies.
That was fun too.
Yeah, a lot of fun to talk to people from the 80s. And they're still out there. Well, they were until COVID hit. Of course, they'll be back on tour again. But there's a couple of wonderful moments we have shared. We'll continue to do that over the next few episodes as we celebrate 6 years, 5 of those 6, on the air. Okay, let's get back to more Our City Tonight, present time.
It feels like summer every day of the year, and my heart
She is an award-winning Canadian singer-songwriter, actor, dancer, musician, voiceover artist. She's released a number of albums. She has played all over the world, including right here in Canada, the US, Germany, Poland, Thailand, Australia, the UK. What you're looking at right now is her new single, which I've been humming for days, called Feels Like Summer. It is great to welcome Vancouver's own Michelle Krieber to our city tonight. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. As I said, humming that song for days. We just got the video from you, which is much appreciated.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk a bit about your career. You are young. You have done tons. We're going to break it all down. Let's talk a bit about your inspirations as a singer-songwriter.
Yeah, well, my main idol as a singer-songwriter would be Sarah Bareilles. That's a name sometimes people know it, sometimes they don't. Brave was a big single love song back in 2007, and she just writes really great pop songs, but also singer-songwriter songs that are very meaningful and deep, but also still catchy and really musical and complex. So I get a lot of inspiration from Sarah Bareilles, but then otherwise, really eclectic spectrum of music that I enjoy and that I grew up with. So a lot of different inspirations, but I'd say Sarah Bareilles is the main one.
And obviously growing up in a musical household set you on your course. You talk about your dad and your mom and music always being around the house.
Yes, I didn't really have an escape. I didn't have any choice, no. I was very immersed in it from a young age, and I was so fortunate to be, even before I could walk and talk, I was sitting there and taking it all in when they were doing their music lessons and performances, and I was just very passionate about it from day one. There was no point where I decided this is my life, this is my career. It just kind of was a given. And I was always the one driving the bus, though. A lot of people would say, are your parents pushing you? And that's a common question in the young industry. But no, I was always at the helm and very passionate and driven from a young age. Yeah,
and I think part of that stems as well from, not to take away from people that don't write their own stuff, but I'm always fascinated by people that want to create that, because that's where all the money is, but that aside is that it allows you to chart your own emotions and what you want to do. Talk a bit about co-writing though too, because you've got this new single, Feels Like Summer. A guy who, if you know Canadian music, Christopher Ward, been around for, longer than I care to admit, because I remember him when I was growing up. A great singer-songwriter. Yeah, much music. It had a bunch of hits in the 70s and 80s. Talk a bit about co-writing. How is that a different dynamic?
Yeah, co-writing is something I've been dabbling more in recently. And when you first start off as writing, you kind of have to navigate it on your own to really see what your style is and what your methods are. But as you grow as a songwriter, co-writing is a great next step. And this song was a co-write between me and Christopher Ward and Luke McMaster and Aaron Chattervelli, so 4 people, which is small these days. Sometimes you have 15 writers on a song. It's pretty crazy, but it definitely changes the whole experience. But I would say, not necessarily for the better, both experiences are good, but it's more fun when you have people to collaborate with, and that's just a given. If you're an extrovert in the music industry, you're probably going to really enjoy co-writing, and it just allows more creative input and more flexibility and directions the song could go. So.
One of the threads over the last year and a half when talking to singer-songwriters and performers is just no performing on stage.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed that's coming back soon. Talk a bit about how you've been reaching your fan base, because it is global. Have you been doing a lot of online shows? How are you getting out to those folks that are missing your live performances?
Yeah, well, I was in a unique and I think very lucky place when the pandemic started, in which I'd already kind of set up systems in my career before to be able to reach out to everyone outside of even Vancouver. So I didn't have to change too much about my system. I had a live streaming setup. I was already very familiar with all the online platforms, and that felt just very normal to me. And obviously, when the transition had to be made of fully online compared to in person, that was very challenging. But I definitely was in a really lucky set of circumstances to already have those systems implemented, to be able to live stream, like you said, lots of live stream concerts and just connecting. I released an album in the pandemic, and I almost didn't, because I thought this is going to be a really intense challenge. Sure. But it just kind of felt like the right music to release at that point, and I was really glad to at least be able to connect to people through online. It was something at the beginning, right? We all remember that it was something, even to just connect with people online on our phones and computers and stuff. But we got to get back to
There's
live.
nothing like live.
Nothing like it. Yeah, for
but I
sure.
will say one of the things I've heard from a number of people like yourself is that they were getting such positive feedback from their fans who knew that it was challenging to get your music out there, and they were most appreciative because they were missing it too. So,
Definitely.
Again, what a career you've had so far at your young age. A lot of voiceover stuff. You've certainly been no stranger to the big and small screen. Looking at some of the things you've done here, Supernatural, The Haunting Hour. You've also done a lot of Hallmark stuff, which is a kind of a pillar industry here in our city. How are you able to? Are you just compartmentalizing that? Okay, today I'm putting this hat on. Tomorrow I'll come home and songwrite on this day.
That's a great question. I think, you know, when you're passionate about so many different things, it can be both an amazing thing and also a burden. Like you said, there's lots to do, and when everything kind of stacks up at once, it almost becomes unmanageable. But you get used to it, and you have a great team of people in each sector that help you out, and a lot of it kind of is intersectional, because a lot of my voiceover work would include singing, and a lot of the film and TV roles I would book included musical numbers and dancing. So all these avenues kind of twist and turn together. But definitely in recent years, and as you get older, you realize you kind of do need a top of the pyramid, right? You kind of do need something that you're focusing on daily, and then the other opportunities sort of fall along. So right now, and for a while, that's been singing and songwriting. And then everything kind of, comes along with it.
A couple things I got to mention here. This is quite a feather in your cap. One of the songs you did a duet with the Billy Joel on one of his first and biggest hits, Just the Way You Are, from I want to say 77, 78, Mark. Is that probably right? Yeah, a camera guy would know, as I would, as I was alive then. Talk a bit about working with a guy like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, I didn't. When you set up those kind of things for, especially film and TV, a lot of it's done pretty separated.
Oh, so you're there.
Exactly. And a lot of that too, when we'd have big guests on My Little Pony, it was the same thing. Like Weird Al wouldn't come up to Vancouver to record with us. They would patch in and stuff. But no, I mean, just to be on an official song with him and a movie that's based off of his song, and they got him involved with this big project, it was real pleasure, for sure.
I really wanted to mention this to our viewers as well. You're a proud official ambassador for Kids Help Phone Canada. Tell us more about that, please.
Well, the main reason I'm so passionate about writing my own songs and singing and songwriting now is because I just feel that music is so powerful and can be such a positive influence in people's lives. And that was the thing I was exposed to at such a young age that just made me crazy about my industry, and just so excited and thrilled to be a part of it, because I could see these people's experiences, how much it could change somebody's life, like literally the course of somebody's life. And it's an honor to be able to write something that connects with people on a deep level. And so for Kids Help Phone, I was introduced through a colleague, and they said, we think there's just a great partnership possible here with the kind of themes that you write. And there was a couple songs I had, I Will Fight For You and Carry On, that they heard, and they thought, those are really in line with our messages. And since then, I've loved working with them. They're such an amazing company, and they do such incredible work as well. So I'm just honored to be a part of their team there.
That's good giving back. It's kidshelpphone.ca.
Yeah.
I'll have that information in the closing credits if you want more information. Hey, it's Michelle Creever. Such a great pleasure to have you on the show, and it's always great when we can have someone who lives in this town of ours, Vancouver.
For sure.
And thank you for creating another great summer catchy hit, which I will be humming most likely for the rest of the summer.
Awesome.
Michelle Creever joins us. We'll have all her information as well in the closing credits.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Feels like summer.
Well, I had to get in on this action, and the food is looking really great. I got Lita called to the bar so I could step in back here with Chef, and we've also got operations partner Andy joining us. Guys, what a good-looking happy hour. Chef, this is all available during that happy hour. Tell us what we're looking at.
Yeah, so CHOP isn't just about steaks. We also have a beautiful happy hour offering. Some of our newest items are our meatball in Sunday sauce, also sustainably certified, broccolini with brown butter and pistachio, and Furious fries, which are kind of our one-up to everybody else's truffle fry. And then we've got some classics. So you can't come to CHOP without having steak bites.
Oh, yes.
We've got our beautiful chili shrimp, some amazing tuna tataki and crab cakes, and of course some great cocktails as well.
Yeah, these are all, like everything on the table here, folks, is happy hour. That's a great selection because I've been to some places, Lita and I have, of course, where happy hour is slim pickings when it comes to food. So it's good to see a good selection here. Andy, jump in here with some great information for our viewers about some wonderful things they can take advantage of here. Dining poolside, stay and dine. It's a tough one to say, and I haven't had any drinks. Talk about those two items. Maybe I should start.
That's right.
Tell our viewers what I just attempted to say.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of great opportunities here at CHOP right now. We have got a fantastic poolside dinner series. So we've teamed up with the hotel. We're located inside the Sandman Signature Hotel right here in Richmond. And there's a beautiful garden oasis pool that many people have never seen before. So what we did, we decided this summer, in the year of COVID and nothing else to do in the city, we thought, why not bring people to us? So what we've set up is tables all around our pool and built a great dining experience out there. So you can come, you can get all of our great cocktails, and we've got some special items out there. Chef's actually cooking a 48-ounce tomahawk ribeye out there tableside as well.
This is all fabulous. Okay, guys, we're going to dig in. I'm sorry to say that to both of you. I think the interview is done. We're going to come back and wrap up the show in about 3 seconds. See, I told you that really was about 3 seconds. Lita joins us now to wrap up this edition of Our City Tonight.
And we want to thank all the great folks at CHOP Restaurant Bar. We were so happy to come out here. It's not that far to Richmond. It's actually very, very fast to get here.
Thanks to Chloe and her team for setting all this up. And boy, oh boy, we will have all the details on this wonderful place in our closing credits. I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins.
We'll see you on the next edition of Our City Tonight. Let's start eating right now, okay? Outdoor wear for Jim and Lita, provided by Helly Hansen, alive since 1877.
Soluzione Spa Products, a national luxury spa product distribution company located in North Vancouver, British Columbia.